Radha. A very good morning, everyone. GHRDC welcomes you to today's webinar titled Innovation in the Age of AI and Automation, What Students Should Learn About Integrating Technology into Business Models. Thank you, everyone, for taking our time and joining in with us today. We are very delighted to have with us experts from industry and academia for this discussion. On behalf of the GHRDC team, I welcome our expert panel members. GHRDC, as many of you would be aware, is a 27 years old education research firm dedicatedly working in the education sector in the area of ranking, training, mentoring, and research with the sole aim of working on upgrading the quality of education in various sectors and benchmarking the best of the educational institutions in our country. In the day and age we are living and working in today, AI and automation are fast becoming an intrinsic part of our day to day experiences and life. The B School students, who are our future industry leaders, must develop a mindset that embraces innovation, continuous learning, and responsible technology usage, preparing them to shape the future of business in the AI driven world we are now witnessing. Today's topic is about the significance of innovation in the age of AI and automation and how the B schools and management students of today need to work, need to know and work on its fundamentals to become the front runners of innovation. We will now be inviting our distinguished speakers to talk about this exciting topic. Also, I would request our wonderful attendees to type in your questions for our speakers in the chat box given along with the name of the speaker you want to address your question to. Now, I would request our Deputy Director and Ranking Head, Ms. Aradhna Changakoti, to introduce our eminent speakers for today. Over to you, Aradhna.
Thank you, Neha. Good morning, everyone. I'll now read the profiles of our eminent speakers. Dr. Netra Neelam. Dr. Netra Neelam is a professor in HR and is currently the director of Symbiosis Center for Management and Human Resource Development, one of the premier institutes under the aegis of Faculty of Management under the Symbiosis International Deemed University, which is ranked 76th globally, 8th in India, and 3rd in private institutions by Financial Times in Master in Management ranking. Dr. Netra has a PhD, MPhil, PGDHRM, and AMCOM with gold medal as her qualifications. She is extremely passionate about the field of psychometry and certified in internationally recognized psychometric instruments like Belbin, MBTI, FIRO-B, and strong interest inventory, and works extensively with industry, students, and faculty. She is also a certified emotional intelligence coach practitioner, along with being certified in NLP, hypnosis, and coaching, and is actively involved in management development. Dr. Netra has over 2 decades of experience in the field of higher education and contributed towards quality initiatives like NAC, NBA, and ASASB, and is currently a recognized PhD research guide at the Symbiosis International University. She also served as a member of the Asia Pacific Advisory Council and Indian Business School Directors Leadership Group at Association to Advanced Collegiate Schools of Business, ASCSB. In appreciation of her understanding and contribution in the area of higher education, she was invited to be a part of the peer-reviewed team of an ASCSB school in Philippines. She was also invited to take part as a guest researcher in the DAAD-sponsored Center for Modern Indian Studies at the University of Cologne, Germany. She completed a minor ICSSR project as a co-investigator in assessing the antecedents of building resilience in social enterprises, a comprehensive study on enterprises in the area of women empowerment through craft revival. She was also invited to the city of Cambridge in recognition of her extensive work in the area of psychometric assessments. She has over 25 peer-reviewed indexed research papers and 1 Ivy teaching case to her credit. We welcome you to our webinar today, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Sandeep Kumar. Mr. Sandeep Kumar received his BTech and MTech in electrical engineering from IIT Kanpur in 1989 and 1991, respectively, specializing in communications and signal processing. As part of his MTech thesis, he worked on nonlinear models for signal representation and made contributions to information theory. He has worked as a consultant architect at Synopsys and Cadence Design Systems in electronic design automation and is a leading machine learning and signal processing researcher in the industry. His core expertise is in applications of mathematics to solving real-life problems. Mr. Kumar is the founder of Voxomos Systems Private Limited and currently serves as its CEO Managing Director. Voxomos specializes in applications of speech, music, and image processing. Sandeep brings with him more than 25 years of unique industry experience in machine learning, deep neural nets, statistical signal processing algorithms, DSP tools, data flow modeling, software and hardware design. Sandeep is a machine learning AI evangelist with focus on its applications and is an invited speaker in the Smart City conferences held in IIT Delhi. He is invited as an external for MTech thesis evaluation at IIT Delhi. He also gives guest lecture at IIT Delhi on applications of speech and image processing to the students. Under his guidance, Voxomos works at the Assistech Lab at the CS department, IIT Delhi, helping develop technologies for the visually impaired. Welcome to our webinar, Mr. Sandeep. And
thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir. And we have Ms. Mekhla Sinha, the Executive Director of GHRDC, who will now be acting as a moderator for the discussion today. With this, I would request Mekhla to now take over and initiate the panel discussion. Over to you, Mekhla.
Thank you so much, Aradhana. Thank you, Neha. A very, very warm welcome to both our distinguished speakers, Dr. Netra Neelam and Mr. Sandeep Kumar. It's an absolute pleasure and honor for us to be hosting both of you, such stalwarts in your respective areas, having worked extensively in your respective fields. And this webinar is a way for us to reach out to various stakeholders, not just students and faculty and institutes and industry, but even other stakeholders who are watching this and gain a lot of insights, knowledge. And today's topic is a very interesting topic. You know, this is what is running our lives today and is the buzzword in everything that we are doing today. I mean, gone are the days when artificial intelligence was just a concept from science. It is now reshaping and redefining our lives in ways that we can't even imagine. The way we work, the way we interact, the way we live, the way we educate, everything is changing. So we're very, very excited. And like I said, this topic is not just relevant for B schools or engineering students or faculty or industry. It's actually relevant and very, very important for everyone and anyone, because this is really reshaping the way we look at lives, creativity, connectivity, productivity, everything is really, you know, changing and redefining. So without any further ado, I would start the discussion. And my first question is to Dr. Netra Neelam, ma'am. Ma'am, very warm welcome once again. I have a very interesting question to you first, which is very related to the idea of students, how critical it is for students to understand how AI and automation is reshaping business models or industry. Because while we are talking so much about it, but students who are watching this today, who are going to be one of the main consumers of this webinar information, if you can throw some light from an academic perspective, and I'm talking about students across sectors, not just B schools and engineering colleges, but even, you know, institutions which are in law, architecture, hotel and hospitality, everywhere, you know. So if you could just throw some light on that and start with those comments.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. Before we begin, I definitely would want to thank every person who is there on this webinar today, and especially GHRDC and Madam Mekhla and Madam Aradhana, you know, to take up this initiative to talk to the students and possibly, you know, put across our voices to them. I think you've been a great medium to be able to do that. Yeah, a lot of times we only talk to our students who are within the institution, but I think this webinar will help us send our message to the other students, who are so keen on pursuing education, and especially higher education, which definitely has a impact through AI. Yeah, so to put across your points, so what exactly has happened is, so I've also noted down certain aspects of how critical it is for students to understand AI. See, anyone who wants to take up education very, very seriously is looking at not just engagement, but is looking at a long-term employability. Yeah. And so it is very, very important for us to not just restrict ourselves to the conversations of education in the current context, but to look at the evolution that education and AI expects us to do to stay. Once we get into doing a particular role, yeah, that's the first way to begin. But I think AI now is going to be the future of work. And so it's absolutely critical for us to embrace AI. If you use AI as a great assistant, you can do a fabulous job. But if you are apprehensive about accepting that yes, AI is existing, and the story of a cat which closes eyes and drinks the milk and says, now I don't know what is happening in the world, then I think you are becoming very, very ignorant. Okay, so just because cat does not see the world is looking at the cat, right? So critically looking at AI becomes very important for the B school students. So especially when we have, conversations with the industry, we talk about how AI is going to impact every dimension of work, right? From HR, finance, marketing, even operations, okay? Even for that matter, law and engineering. Many students which we get on campus, yeah, 50-60% of them are engineers. We have students from law background, we have students from medicine. Now, all these today are coming in to understand business management, okay? And AI plays a very critical role when you look at each of these dimensions. So, of course, future of work, you cannot deny that AI is going to be important. Next important aspect, is the customization. We always, since I am from the field of HR, we always used to have this, saying different strokes for different folks. One size fits all will never be the case. That was never the case. So what happened? From standardization, yeah, we went to customization, correct? But from those larger chunks, we started to look at smaller chunks of people for whom we made sense. But what is AI helping us to do? It's not talking today about just smaller chunks of people. It is talking about every individual for whom customization is possible if you want to retain that individual's attention. Today you look at what Amazon does, what Netflix does, what Big Basket does. It will throw out to you stuff which you have been consistently buying. Now just imagine we have moved from an era of one big screen on in a village where the entire village comes together. Yeah, if you all have seen the movie Swades, where the entire village comes together to watch a movie on one screen. From that, we move to possibly one particular family having one TV in the house. From that, we went on to separate TVs in each individual's rooms. And now, just imagine we have come to a state where each one of us has our screen. Now, look at the kind of customization the business has gone through. And every student, now every business has all the specializations in place. And so it is very important that you understand how critical it is to understand AI so that you make sense to that particular individual to whom you are giving your service. So customization, extremely important. Next important thing is, this enhanced level of efficiency and collaboration. That is something that AI will help you to achieve. Because if tomorrow Big Basket understands my consumption pattern, it will throw up to me, look, possibly you would want to look at this because it complements what you buy. And I think, generating a demand is equally a marketing strategy, not just supplying, correct? So Flipkart today is selling, your potatoes and onions for 9 rupees a kg. Now they have gone to that particular extent. Now anybody else who wishes to talk of, competing with them will have to talk about that competitive pricing. You cannot at any point in time today say, look, this is what I have to offer and I will offer it. Students should critically understand that you cannot offer what you have. You have to offer what the world wants you to offer. So that is the next point when it comes to, the piece of enhanced efficiency and collaboration along with obviously cost reduction. And next important thing I think is for AI is to take into cognizance customer experience. Okay. Now something that I saw just in the morning. Yeah, we have these Uber apps and Ola apps, and as I'm talking to you, it's raining very heavily in Pune. Okay. And I saw someone booking an Ola app through Ola or Uber. Okay. The person was not getting a chance to book because there was, I think, too much of rain and the individual was not getting the cab. Immediately, it threw up one pop-up saying, do you want to give a tip to the driver? The moment the person added tip, immediately within some time, the driver came in. Now just imagine, this is that level of, understanding which that AI app has. That, okay, it is not getting booked, probably a little bit of motivation. Now this motivation was what? When I looked at the option, it started with 20 rupees, 20 rupees, 50 rupees, 100 rupees, correct? Just one 20 rupees click along with my bill add on to the driver. What have you done? You have sparked that motivation for the driver to come in and pick you up. Correct? I think this is where, so 20 rupees shelling out on a busy day is no big deal for a professional. But who prompted you to give that 20 rupees so that you finish your day today and not take leave? It is AI. So I think we should be very mindful of what is going on around us so that we can use the power of AI and automation to critically understand what is currently going on in the business context and accordingly modify the way we will approach the entire business. Yeah, and one last point, extremely important, is ethical and social implications. Very, very crucial. So while you said, yes, I agree to give those 20 rupees extra, it was a decision of the customer of adding 20 rupees to the bill. It was not the decision of that platform to add additional 20 rupees. What does that mean? It means transparency. It means ethical considerations. It means also looking at some societal aspects where a little bit of comfort to somebody who is come my way, that needs to be given. And I personally feel, since I practice psychometry so much, while functional capabilities you can outsource to AI, you outsource to automation, I think this has given us enough reason to be a little bit away and manage relationships with people. And I think this is very critical when it comes to understanding from the student's perspective. So functions are very important. What to do, take out time on how to do what you do. So when it comes to your answer, your question of why is it so critical for students to understand, without AI, you cannot survive. You cannot do what you've been doing all these years. What you've been doing all these years has brought you here. But if you have to get on to some other position, then I think embracing the change and not consistency is the key. So, this is where adaptability and resilience become extremely important. And in the age group, I would say contemporaries who have completed around 10-15 years of service, another 10-15 years is still to go. You will not be able to survive if you do not adapt. Similarly, when it comes to today's generation who wants to get into the workforce, until unless you accept that you have to get into a mode of disruption when you start. You cannot talk about, oh, I will get into a stabilized business and then I will become a CEO immediately in 2 years. No, you have to accept you are entering a disrupted work environment. If you don't have that in your mind, even your entry becomes an issue. Okay. And obviously, people who are moving out now, yeah, they probably would want to move out with good memories rather than feeling stress of not being able to adopt and adapt to the changing situations. So I think AI is critical not only for students but for every person in every walk of life. So I think I've said enough. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Very beautifully explained for our students to understand that this is not an option anymore. It's absolutely critical and mandatory for them to really understand the landscape of things, how we are living in. My next question is to Mr. Kumar. Your company is doing some of the most leading and innovative work as far as AI or automation is concerned and this technology is concerned. So I'm sure you'll be able to throw enormous light, especially for students who are watching this, to understand how critical it is for them to understand AI. But before we even come to that question, the same question that we asked ma'am, I would like you to break it down for the students in a much more simpler format to make them understand what is AI and what makes it so powerful, what makes it so interesting, what makes AI, So over to you for that question.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, GHRDC, for this opportunity. And as Dr. Neelam already said, so some of those will be a repeat of what she already said. But we are good at bulletizing points. What I'll do is I'll keep like a few slides open while I talk. So maybe that will focus the discussion and maybe give you a summary so that you understand what's happening. And this is our perspective of how and what we have learned. Okay. So can you see the screen?
Yes, visible.
Okay. Yeah. So quickly, so the first point I want to make is that it's basically AI plus human today. So, and that is the future. So there is a lot of hype also, but that is like I would say years off where full autonomous AI systems would come into picture. Today, human with AI will beat the AI as well as the human. So there is, as people said, there is really no alternative. People are adopting even without knowing, as ma'am pointed out, and it's going to come in our daily lives more and more as we progress. So this is kind of a summary which people know, but I'll just quickly go through it. So we are in an era of conversational business transformation, and generative AI is unleashing massive creativity. People have already seen some of these things. Movie making is changing, media is changing, a lot of things are changing. Future of work is driven by AI. I highlighted the point where we work. So it's basically moving from a tool to a collaborator. And those are the flows we work on. And it gives immense benefits to our customers, reduced cost, increased reach. There are things which people could not do earlier have become possible. And it's like doing massive surveys. So we are able to call 1 lakh people in a day and get the survey and all the analytics out within just after those calls. So it is massive. Surveys were unknown where you actually interview human beings, get everything, which might be very important for business models. And 1 lakh calls would require at least 1,200 or 1,300 human beings, and then taking all the inputs from them and then combining it into trends and analytics. All that is happening as we talk, and it's because of the AI-driven innovation which has happened. And fintech, knowledge management, there are a lot of verticals which are getting impacted, but human productivity is increasing at an unprecedented rate. So even emails which I used to write to the government, which took 1 hour, because government is a customer and it is very fond of written word. So today it takes me 5 minutes, 10 minutes to do it. So we are saving time everywhere, and that we can use for real work. And the human-computer interface itself is changing. So we have been used to text a lot, and then we got used to touch. But today, the way the interfaces are moving, very soon you will not need, like you will have a mix of this. So that's called the multimodal interfaces, where you talk naturally and intuitively, whatever is more natural. If voice is more natural, it will be there. If text is, like this video conferencing platform is actually an example of a multimodal interface where you can chat, where you can show a video and all of that. So it is going to the next level, and that is a force multiplier for human beings' potential. So what is happening is, first of all, AI is able to do lots of things at scale, and then the way it interacts with human being is making both AI and human like exponentially better at doing some things, and it can actually learn from the mistakes it does. So the potential is huge. So what I have done here on this slide, and this I show to almost every student uh, place we go to, like IIT Delhi or others. And this is kind of all the use cases we have seen as a company. So it's kind of I'll say the abstract of everything we have seen how AI has helped. So process large data to get patterns and insights. It help automate routine tasks. Yeah, you can also predict likely outcomes based on data. So it's very strange. Like people till now who are used to the traditional way of doing things, you type something incorrect and it comes out as null. Then so those were, I would say, not very human and intuitive ways of doing things. All of those are actually now gone with AI interfaces. You can put a typo, it will understand that. You don't have to have the data in your database. It can actually predict and get you a likely, and it will say it has come from prediction. So these are new things which are happening. It can detect anomalies and human errors, and it makes human friendly, improves ease of access. Even if your data is in English, you can ask a question in your native language, and you will still be able to get your answer in your, like, whether Gujarati or Marathi or any language. So that's possible today. And what ma'am pointed out towards is, we call it personalization. So it basically understands consumer behavior much better as it gets more and more data about the transactions you have already done. And some of the new things are, today you can let machines learn the pattern, and there are new and creative experiences which can be generated using these new technologies. So that is kind of all of the use cases we have seen. You can add more to it, but these are the basic use. And wherever you have a need, you can actually look at how AI can help you solve those problems. So just to kind of summarize, so future is human plus AI in many fields. I will not say all fields, but yes, in many areas, it is the future. It is not just a tool, it is a force multiplier. And what it does is, it's basically an intelligent, data-driven, scalable transformation across the entire business value chain. And coming to what it is made of, because we work from the ground up, from bottom up. So you can think of it as a very small digital pattern recognizer, which tries to mimic human intelligence, but then it can extend it at scale. And it can actually iterate, improve, and learn. And what it is made of, and I'll just show quickly, it's connected nonlinear circuits at scale. It's just inspired. It's not exactly like the human cell, but it is inspired by the human brain. So just to give you a very like a rudimentary way of what it contains internally, is the structural view. So the left side is how our brain cell looks like. This is from biology. Biological systems are the most advanced today, and what computer and others are doing are learning from the biological systems and trying to see how it can help in our day-to-day life. So that is a single node is pretty much inspired by a single neuron in our cell. And then you can connect it into very large circuits so that deep learning is not really deep in understanding. It is just the structure of the circuits, which has billions of parameters. So you can see there is a input layer, hidden layer, and output layer. So these are the general structures which are used. And then there are different kinds of neural nets which are there. And people are coming up with transformers and diffusion models. There are a lot of new things which are coming up. And then you apply it to solve a problem. So this is just applied to email spam detection. And it is able to actually give it with very high probability. So you can use the neural net models and the machine learning models to get a spam, which Google, if you are using Gmail, it's already using it. So in some sense, these are all things you are using even without knowing that you are using them. So what AI is giving and supercharging is basically it has immense speed. So it can process millions of transactions instantly. And it has scale. It can handle like millions of customers at the same time. And it can have accuracy in some areas which exceed human precision. And it has adaptability, so it learns from feedback and evolves over time. And it can create different kinds of text code images based on the training and the models it has seen. So I'll stop here because there's a lot more detail which I don't want to burden with, but this is what I wanted to share with the students here. Okay.
Sure. This was very, very useful. I think you really broke it down to a very foundational concept for, all the viewers to understand, and especially students, of how this can be, worked upon and looked at to their advantage, whether they're studying, whether they're getting into the industry, or they're just living life, it is absolutely applicable. And like you said, it may not be right now applicable to all industries and sectors, but to quite a few right away. So I think that's a major takeaway. And for B school students, especially because they are absolutely ready to go into the industry immediately after completing their course, this is very, very relevant because this is the environment they'll be operating in. So they cannot have an option where they do not understand some of these aspects of AI. Thank you. Thank you so much for that. Ma'am, coming back to you about a very important aspect. So when we talk about education or business schools or engineering colleges or any sort of education related to this topic, the first starting point is always curriculum, right? So how do you feel can business schools start aligning to AI and innovation by working in their curriculum? And what kind of changes would you suggest if you would like to, or something that SCM HRD is already doing as far as working on the curriculum aspect is concerned from an AI innovation perspective?
So, industry, we have representation from the industry across all our forums. Okay, so whenever a curriculum is designed, it is not designed by one particular faculty in isolation in her or his own cabin. Okay, we always have an industry expert who is a part of our academic review committee. We have industry experts on the part of our program review committee. Okay, we have industry experts on board of studies. We have industry on our academic council. Yeah, and that is the robust mechanism with which we design the curriculum. Okay, because at any point in time, you will never have an individual directly from school going and joining industry. Correct? And I have always seen, a lot of schools invite me to talk about what should they do right in schools so that they are prepared for college. Okay. Similarly, we invite the industry to college to tell us what should we put in place so that the student is a good fit in the industry. Okay, that's the way in which academics is really very open in receiving feedback. And right from schooling to, I think, higher education. No teacher ever feels, yeah, what do you say, ever feels shy asking for feedback. Okay, so that's the mechanism. And if you ask me, how do you integrate? What we've started to do is not just overall one course in AI. No, we talk about integrating AI in every course that happens. So we try our best to be able to, pitch in when it comes to AI in various courses that the institution teaches. Now, I am unable to tell you what happens in other institutions, but if you ask me specifically, what do we do at SCM then this is what we follow. First, industry experts on our conversations. Okay, very important industry experts who come and teach our students. So we would have at least about 50% of our faculty who are from industry who come and have a conversation with the students about what exactly is going on. While a hardcore academician talks about, clarifying concepts in class, which are extremely important. Yeah, the context that is happening in the industry currently, we have the industry come and talk. Yeah, as we are talking today, I don't have the exact figures now in front of me, but last year, we had, I don't know whether I can refer to that, but last year we had more than 200 leaders who came and had a conversation with our students. And at that point in time, they get to understand their perspectives, yeah, through industry speakers, through conclaves, through conferences, through panel discussions. We have more than 150 of our alumni who come from the industry and talk on mentoring sessions with our students. Okay, and when we have to integrate AI, therefore, we don't do it only at the institute level, we also do it at every course level to the best possible extent. Similarly, when you talk about interdisciplinary courses, we give them a blend of that as well, because you cannot study anything in isolation. Just now, as sir also mentioned, yeah, you talk about one product and you're talking about all the aspects of business in that one product. So you cannot ignore product pricing, you cannot ignore packaging, you cannot ignore logistics, you cannot ignore the customer satisfaction. So everything is in play: HR, marketing, finance, operations, law related aspects, engineering of that particular product. Everyone comes to place when you're talking about any new infusion that happens. Okay, and what we do is, so obviously, 2 years is a very short time to be able to put everything together, because we get students from 24 different states of the country. Yeah, for my 330 seats, I have 53,000 plus applications. Okay, so demand for the program is humongous. And the time that I have to deliver everything that I have in mind to deliver is very limited. So for us to be able to push everything to the student only in class becomes difficult. That is why we integrate experiential learning into the courses. Now, what is this? Where not only the teacher talks, but the student is given enough opportunity to do live projects, to do internships with the industry, to have industry interactions, to do some research project while they are, in the institute. Plus, very important, work on various committees to get hands-on experience of how exactly any particular situation works. What are the challenges? How do you maneuver in case you have a blockage for talking about your idea or even getting your idea through. Okay. Plus, one very unique thing which we have done with the students is, now we talk about ethical AI. Correct. And therefore, it becomes very important for us to even consume the right content. And so, in our institution, we give access to online learning platforms to students. Now, there is lots of material available on YouTube, but who goes and checks the authenticity of that material? Therefore, at Our institute, what we have done is we have given every student on campus a license of online learning through Coursera. Every student gets it. Now, just imagine the kind of content we are making the students available. There are thousands and thousands of online databases and journals which we subscribe to. The student has all the liberty to go and talk and see all that content. But what SCMHRD believes is that authenticity of content becomes extremely important in every aspect of education, and very, very critical in higher education, because in most cases, all the students who come for higher education, for them it is a terminal degree. Now, when you are just moving out to the world of work with a content which you are not very confident of, then that shows in your work as well. But when we drill down their head that no, don't consume just about any other content, consume content which is referenced, consume content which is authentic, and it's all about your database, right? Yeah. Today, AI also is working on what? AI is able to give you all these permutation combinations. It is pulling out from the database and talking about making these combinations and throwing it to you. Just imagine if that database itself is corrupt, what analysis and what research and what inference and what interpretation will you do? Okay. So in these 2 years, we work on the mindful database which the student carries with him, so that he understands what is it to work in a particular organization which is ever evolving. So for the functional capabilities, we look at pointing out and we look at, filling up all these gaps. For behavioral piece also, we look at psychometric tests. We look at counseling. We have a dedicated Symbiosis Center for Emotional Well-being on campus. Okay. We have a dedicated counselor. We have mentor-mentee meetings. We have seniors who come as mentors to juniors. We have industry alumni who are very, very willing to come and take lectures with our students and mentor them before they go for summer projects. Okay, before in case they want some insight on a life project, we have. But we have the faculty, we have the alumni who come and give them their side of the story. Now, what we try to do as academicians is we integrate everything that the industry possibly requires into our curriculum. And for doing all this, we give them authenticity of content. Similarly, if we want to give them a simulated environment, we use softwares. Yeah, we use personalized psychometric testing for the students. Every student, before he writes his, before he goes for his final placement, is given a personalized psychometric profile. Entire interpretation is done, and then he knows exactly how he can contribute towards the organization. So functional capability, there is no doubt, this is hygiene factor. You must know, because just on your just on your appearance, nobody is going to give you a job. Just on your relationships, people don't like to work with you. You should have the competence to be able to contribute. So functional capability 100%, there is no compromise. But behavioral capability is also something that we drive down. And for the functional piece also, we have Markstrat, we have Capstone, we have At Risk. We for databases, we have LSEG. We have CMIE databases. Okay. We also talk about the infra monitors which students have. So use the right content, have the right intent, and then talk about the right impact is a philosophy that we follow at the institution. And so very seamlessly, the faculty is also able to bring in all this on, all this through their interactions. Moreover, what do we also do? See, with the faculty also, we also have regular sessions with the faculty, because at no point in time should the faculty feel we are not equipped enough to be able to manage AI. We are not equipped enough to be able to deliver this in class. And so we have faculty development programs, yeah, which are customized for faculty. Plus, we also have opportunity for each faculty to put in a request for individual faculty development programs which they feel are suitable for that particular area. So faculty is given both these options. This is the way we, kind of support our own faculty to be able to have enough and more understanding of AI, because you teach or support one faculty, that faculty in support can, pass on this to 400 others. Okay, so this is the way we seamlessly integrate AI into the entire working of SCMHRD. So that's the way we do it, because a lot of times, there is this debate that there is a lot of industry academia gap. I think because Symbiosis is a private university, we are very, very fortunate that our entire management is very open to keep talking about a revision in program structure that is allowed every year if the need be. Okay, so that the student does not. So I remember when I was in school, my geography teacher used to sometimes tell me, what I am teaching is the history of geography, because the curriculum has not changed. I know things are different, but you have to write this only in the paper, because your marking scheme or the answer, the question paper is going to based on this particular book. I think we are very fortunate as as a university that we have a very robust system of upgrading and updating our curriculum as and when the need arises. And we are then able to bridge this industry academia gap.
Right. And for our viewers, I'd like to say that in our so many years of working with SCM HRD, and of course, we've been tracking so many other B schools as part of our work in education research. SCM HRD is an institution which very closely works with the industry, and they've been doing this for decades. It's not just a new intervention. It's not something that they've just begun to incorporate into their curriculum. It is something they've been doing for decades. They've had very good practices in place for students, for faculty to really engage with the industry at a ground level.
Yeah. Also, just one more thing, Mekhla, which I would like to add, when our students go on internships, okay, earlier we used to travel all over India to go and meet their mentors, to understand how is my student doing, what is going right, what is the gap, how should we improve. Now just imagine, year on year we talk to, so every batch we have 350 plus students, okay, and we are always successful to have a conversation with at least 75% of mentors, yeah, through our interactions. And it has become much more because of online interactions now, because there is no physical constraint of traveling, or we are able to talk to so many. So what do we do once the student goes on for an internship? Yeah, after the student completes a particular period, we have a conversation with the mentor, and we don't only take insights of how the student is doing, but we also take inputs from them in terms of what do you think we should add in our curriculum, so that we give you a student who has first day, first hour productivity. And we are very happy to also let you know that, this initiative has really become so successful that many students at the end of their 2 years of internship, or 3 years, or I'm sorry, to 2 months of internship or 3 months of internship, come out and bring in a pre-placement offer. That talks about quality, which we try to provide, And today, as you see, gone are the days when there is one placement week and everything happens during that week. No, today industry is talking about testing you before they take you. And so what do we do as an institution? We talk of giving our students the right platforms through various committees they go for. Then our students also participate in national level case competitions, which are initiated, by the industries. and they talk about pitching their idea. So many of our students also get pre-placement interview offers and pre-placement offers through these case competitions. Okay, so many of our students get recognized as the champions on Unstop platform. Now, how are we able to do all this? It is only because we empower the students with the right kind of support. And just for your information, when our students go and represent on these national platforms, okay, the institution bears the entire cost. Here is where we put across our support when it comes to all the resources that the institution will do for them. So we try our bit to be able to make a holistic individual out of that particular, I wouldn't say a raw material, but a work in progress individual. And anybody who grasps and gathers all this, believe me, does wonders in the workplace. And by the way, just for your information, our alumni progression, as rated by the Financial Times ranking, which is the most prestigious ranking, is 15 globally. That talks about the credentials and impact of our alumni, who are playing a very, very crucial role in the world of work today. So that's it. If I have to talk about SCS HRD, I can go on and on and on, but I will restrict myself.
Thank you, ma'am. I truly feel that these kind of best practices that you've shared today, which is part of SCM HRD's legacy and the ongoing endeavor to keep progressing in education, is a very valuable insight in today's times for other B schools who are watching it or who would be watching it even later. So thank you for sharing that. Mr. Kumar, coming to you for our next question. You spoke very briefly about some of the industries which are getting transformed by AI. If you could just give the students and the viewers today an oversight on what are the sectors that are really getting transformed by AI, so that they can also, have that perspective when they're looking at placements or when they're looking at their careers, and which sectors do you foresee getting completely transformed by AI, And more importantly, if you could give us some examples of those businesses and what are the major lessons or takeaways for students from those examples?
So as we discussed, all the industries are getting the impact of AI, but I had to rank them. Then I would rank healthcare as the number one because it has lasting impact. And it will basically transform the way we do healthcare today in the entire world. So, and it will lead to saving lives, early diagnosis, drug discovery. A lot of these things which were very time-taking and imperfect will become data-driven, and that's how the healthcare is going to get transformed. And then we have the next in my list would be finance and fintech. So, and there we have a lot of customers. So smarter decisions and inclusion. So the problems which India faces of inclusivity in risk-prone environments. So those are all getting addressed with the use of AI. And there are a lot of models. In fact, I can give you credit scoring, faster loan processing, fraud detection, algo trading. There are a lot of use cases which different companies are doing, and I'll name some of them. Just give me a few moments. And then retail and e-commerce, we are already seeing quick commerce and all that. So personalized experiences, revenue optimization, uh, like prodding the user for the exact thing at the right time and then getting it. So retail and e-commerce would be number three. Number four is a use which requires a lot of ethics in place, but it so turns out that defense, wireless, and security is also getting completely transformed. So the whole strategy for how countries used to fight wars is changing, and we are witnessing some of that. not all of that is very ethical, I would say. But the truth is, it's going to transform the defense, wireless, and security industry. And I chose five of them. Media and entertainment would be number five for me. And that it's redefining creativity. It's becoming like a co-creator and storytelling at scale. So all of these healthcare, finance and fintech, retail and e-commerce, and defense, wireless and security, and media and entertainment would be my personal biases included. So it will be the top five industries which are in for like complete overhaul or major disruption in the way things were being done. Okay. And just to maybe I don't remember all the names, I'll share the companies I basically collected which have actually been on this path. So retail and e-commerce people know. Let me just share this so you will see it, because there are a lot of companies which are now in this space. Yeah. So if you can see this, so in healthcare, there are companies like Babylon Health, PathAI, Tempest. So early diagnosis, radiology is changing. Human beings, the radiologists used to commit a lot of mistakes, and but today with the AI, they will actually commit less mistakes and will save a lot of lives. Drug discovery is completely changing, and then health agents, remote health, all of that is changing. Finance, fintech, there are a lot of companies in India we work with, and they are doing exceptionally well in the NBFC space, and they are adopting AI and actually uh, reaching the benefits to the end user. And retail and e-commerce, we have already seen Amazon, the way demand forecasting is done, the way personalization is done, all of that is changing. It will change even more. And defense, there are companies like Palantir. In wireless, there are companies like DeepSig. These are actually using AI. So the world is moving from AI enabled to what is called AI native or AI first companies. So some of these companies are like AI first companies, like DeepSeek will do wireless only with AI. It will not do the non-AI wireless. And it is actually doing a lot of some good work in the signal processing space, including radars and all of that. So those are the industries. I said in India there are like all of these companies, Flipkart, Amazon, they use a lot. The fintech which we work with, all of them are adopting AI a lot. And then the customer care industry is completely disrupted in the sense it is now human plus AI. So a lot of customer complaints, customer things are handled with a mix of human and AI. And the advantage it gives is that it's available 24 by 7, and it can be like out of office hours support can also be there. And there are many cases which it can handle and learn from the previous experience and reduce the load. So the human beings can do more complex tasks, and AI can take care of the routine load which is there. So that was the basic thing.
I also saw in your slide very beautifully you've summarized the lessons or the takeaways.
Yeah,
So maybe
yeah.
you could highlight a bit on that.
Yeah, so I just I like to write it down so that I can reuse it next time. So, as a takeaways for advice for business students, I think they should take it very seriously. And it's pretty much fun as a user. You don't have to become like when you drive a car, you don't really need to know what is there inside. Similarly, you have to become, if you're a business leader or aim to become a business leader, you need to become very comfortable with AI as a user, not necessarily how these technologies are done. And there is an ethical side to it which you need to drive, because AI will be used for armed drones, which is, I believe, is not the right place to use it. But if the business leaders use it for the right things like drug discovery, it has immense potential. And that is what the business students should learn. There are things which AI cannot do properly. They should learn where it can be applied, where it cannot be applied, or where human intervention is almost a must. So just to say, so they should learn, take a foundational AI course, they should definitely use all the new LLM tools which are there, all co-pilots, and see, and just don't believe them blindly. Like when this note taker came on, there is always a disclaimer that AI can go wrong if you really see. And that is where the human beings have to be very careful. Just don't believe everything that comes out from these tools. And you can actually guide them towards the right answer. So once you have a way of like interacting with them, then you can kind of cross question it and say, no, I don't think this is correct. And then say, oh, I'm sorry. Yes, you are correct. So there is a way of guiding it to get some of the better answers. And definitely engage, reflect. I like to show one thing we did like 6 years ago. You just see our simple campaign. This was done for GSK Horlicks as a marketing campaign, as a Nutri-Mom campaign. And you will see how image recognition AI was used to drive a marketing campaign. So it's a 1 or 2 minute video. If you permit me, I'll just show it to you. Yeah.
Please do, please do.
Yeah. Just a minute. Just one moment. Yeah.
No problem.
Yeah. So can you see my screen? No.
No.
So it's share.
We can see a slide now.
Yeah. And then if I want to go to the next thing, okay, yeah, now here. So just see, it's a Nutri-Mom campaign.
Mothers are warriors by default. For example, in today's world, even preparing a child's tiffin is fraught with anxiety, and rightly so.
The micronutrient deficiencies like that of iron, vitamin A, vitamin D, which are quite common in India, even in affluent sections of the society. And there is no simple way to assess the quantity of micronutrients in our food.
But surely, with all the technological advancements, there must be a way to address a mother's worries. Introducing Nutrimeter, an app which turns smartphones into nutritionists by just taking food snaps. Beneath its simple interface lies an image recognition technology known as Deep Convolutional Neural Networks, or CNNs.
Our brain processes and creates a photographic memory on constant exposure.
This was
to
taken
the
6
same
years
object
ago when I was
and
younger.
creates a neural database, which then becomes the long-term memory. This is exactly how CNNs also work. CNNs have an algorithm at the back where every food item clicked is stored in the database of the long-term memory. The database purifies the shape, color, size, and stores it. As we keep adding more snaps of the same food item, it automatically starts recognizing it.
Nutrimeter comes equipped with nutrient values of thousands of food items and recipes. Little wonder Nutrimeter can suggest what foods to add to a child's diet to ensure a balanced, micronutrient-rich diet. That's a big win for mothers. The Nutrimeter app turns your smartphone into a nutritionist with a snap.
Okay.
Very interesting, very, very interesting, and very eye-opening actually, because these are some of the areas eventually where business school students will go into, if not in their first jobs, maybe in their subsequent roles or as entrepreneurs, that is another very important area that we need to look at when we are talking about business school community. And in fact, when you were talking about some of these things, one thing that really was coming to my mind constantly was another very important area, which we also work in very extensively, is hotel and hospitality. Again, we've seen so many changes happening, both as a consumer and as someone who's very closely working in this sector, right from ranking, education, research purposes. We're seeing those kind of changes happening very rapidly for tourism, for various other, factors, the way they check in, the way they experience holidays, and how it can really, the AI aspect can really take care of a lot of elements of tourism aspect. So we are seeing that also a huge way. And I thought I'll add that to your list as well. But this was very, very informative. Thank you so much for sharing that. Thank you. My last question for this webinar today is again to Dr. Netra Neelam ma'am. Ma'am, we talked about some very valuable content here about, first of all, understanding the significance of AI for B-School students. We also delved with Mr. Kumar about understanding what is the basis behind making AI so powerful and interesting and innovative. And he gave us many, many examples of businesses. Now, when a student is studying, and like sir was mentioning about various courses they can take up, how they should do a foundational course, as something, as part of their, their study routine or whatever they are doing right now. Even as business leaders, he was recommending that we need to have this kind of a plan in place. What core skills would you recommend as an academician? Because you work with students all the time, you take so much of inputs from the industry. What core skills would you recommend for students to really focus on? Especially when it comes to this aspect or this technology while they're studying and they're not even in the industry. So any insights on that, ma'am?
Yeah, so of course, looking for my specs. So we don't only talk about core skills which I as an academician feel. We go by what is recommended by the industry. Yeah, and all of us today know that the core skills which the industry also recommends, and of course we second it, are AI, big data, technological literacy, very, very important, systems thinking, talent management, curiosity, lifelong learning, creative thinking, leadership, social influence, resilience, agility, analytical thinking. All these are core skills which the industry requires, and that is what sir was talking about, isn't it? So what do we do as academicians? Yeah, we develop a curriculum around all this. We ensure that we deliver all this through the way we plan our lessons. Yeah, and we ensure that we see the impact through the performance of the students in the industry. So as I told you in the beginning, the way we started, syllabus is not made according to what I feel in one room, saying I feel this is important. No way. Core skills are given as per the requirement of the industry. Okay, and it is always said, when you talk about core skills, human values have been one of the core skills which have been in existence for ages together and will always be. So emotional intelligence, very important. Being able to put across your story well, extremely critical. Okay, being able to use the right data to be able to weave in all the concepts which will get into the media or to the head of a common man. Extremely important. Now, this video which sir showed, what is it? It is emotional intelligence. What my child will eat is something that nobody except a mother will possibly give you insights on, because the child is not. So you should know where to collect that data from. You cannot go and collect data from the child, though the child is the ultimate, consumer or the ultimate beneficiary. You should know where to get that data. You cannot go and ask the child, what do you think should a great drink have? They will not understand. Who is the person who is concerned? It's the mother. Correct? So I think that understanding is extremely critical, and this can happen. And I always say this, and it's good that we are on a webinar. Intelligence is important to get into a role, but intelligence, if gets added with indiscipline, if gets added with unethical behavior and unethical intent, will lead to disaster for not only self but to the society around. Okay, and so intelligence is about bringing in functional capabilities. But when you talk about executing these functional capabilities, and behavioral attributes is something that we should drill down in the minds of individuals. That is something very crucial. And in all this, I feel, one core skill which everybody should teach is managing people. How do you manage people when you are executing projects? We definitely, all of us know the big story of the Great China Wall, where China kept on adding, lot of strength to the wall. But ultimately, when it still had invaders, when they went into the core of the situation, they understood that it was the guards who just had to open the gates and let the invader in. Now, I think this is where the story lies. We talk about ERP systems, we talk about, best of ERP that we will push across, but that ERP also has an admin. Have you tested the behavioral understanding or ethics of the admin, who is the person in charge of your ERP? Okay, so behavioral understanding is very, very crucial. And I think this is something we should drill down as one of the core competencies of an individual. And I may not be able to tell you the exact, shloka, but India always has enough and more on by way of a great what do you say great shloks and our repository of knowledge, where it is proven that okay, 25% of what you achieve in life is probably because of the knowledge you've gained. 25% comes from the teacher, 25% comes from your peer group, and 25% is always that gap which can get filled only through lifelong learning. So one of the core skills of education should be lifelong learning. Soon there would be a practice of having expiry dates to your degrees. What do you do that time? Correct. And I just want to end with, one point which sir mentioned, that when you are on the driver's seat, you need not know the entire composition of the vehicle. But believe me, when you are sitting next to the driver or behind the driver, you should know how to drive, so that you replace the driver when the need be. I think every individual today, no matter at what age and stage that person is, should at least know basic driving of AI, basic driving of, technology. So that I don't know what the car consists of, but tomorrow, if the driver is not there, I should not miss my train, my bus, my day, saying, okay, if the driver is not there, I know driving, I will take the vehicle ahead. I think all of us should be educated at least to that extent, where we don't find it challenging to be able to manage our routine job efficiently. And I think this is what is a mindset which we need to develop amongst individuals. So thank you very much. I think I've spoken a lot, but sir, thank you so much. I really learned a lot out of your session, and I have kind of noted down, which are these sectors which are going to be very important, because this again will go as a feedback to my head of the departments, my team who takes care of, the student employability. This is the way a faculty learns. So we never sit in class to, test the teacher, but we always find out opportunities, how we will learn from every opportunity which comes our way. So thank you, GHRDC, and thank you, Sandeep sir, for such,
Thank you, because
valuable conversation.
the first job I joined, my HR manager was from Symbiosis Pune,
Oh,
and she was
great.
excellent.
Oh,
That's
we
nice. Nice to know.
still remember her a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, ma'am.
actually, both of you brought about such amazing insights and experiences from your own respective areas. I'm feeling like our conversation is incomplete. I'm feeling as if we can absolutely continue with another set of 3-4 questions which we already have in our inbox by now on this topic, because this is, like I said, it is what we are not just going to be experiencing. We are already experiencing it. We are living it. We are working on it. We are breathing it from the time we wake up till the time we sleep. It has, of course, completely redefined our lives in ways that we can't even imagine. And for the next 5 years, what's going to happen is going to be completely revolutionary. So both of you shared amazing insights. And I think to start with, as a foundational concept, the students would have definitely got some idea as to how they can start working around these areas, how seriously they need to take it up, not just as an optional aspect, but something which is mandatory as part of their course. And like Sir mentioned about so many industries which are now completely getting transformed and revolutionized by these concepts of AI, as we speak, is also an indication that they will be getting into these sectors sooner or later, whether as their first or second jobs or as entrepreneurs. So thanks to both of you so much for such an insightful session. I would want to plan a part 2 of this also, and maybe we can plan that in the future with some more questions from students, from attendees, from industries, and hope to have both of you again with us. But thank you so much to both of you. And as a closing note, I would now request Neha to please go ahead and share some few words.
Thank you, Meghla. Thank you, everyone. This was a very fruitful and enriching discussion. On behalf of the whole GHRDC team, I would like to express my appreciation and gratitude to all the participants for taking out time to attend this webinar. A very sincere thanks to our panel of experts. Your presence has been invaluable and has undoubtedly made this webinar a great success. Thank you so much once again.
Thanks.
Thank
Thank
you.
you to the
Thank you.
GHRDC team. Yeah, it was great.
Absolutely. To be able to plan this and with the right, I think, topic, I think that is really good.
Thank you so much for your
Thank you,
encouragement.
Dr. Neelam, ma'am. Thank you for the invitation. So we will be there in 2 days.
I'll connect the
Yes.
two of you over the
Sure,
email.
sure.
I will do that.
It will be a pleasure, sir. Sir, where are you based currently?
I'm based in Delhi.
Delhi. Okay. So next time I come to Delhi, definitely
Sure.
I'll try and have a conversation with you in Delhi, because we go for a lot of industry visits and meet, corporates across the entire country to understand their perspective and to talk, of course, about SCM-HRD.
Sure.
Yes. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you. Thank
Thank you.
you.
Okay,
Have a lovely
bye-bye.
day. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Can I log out?
Yes, please do.
Okay, bye-bye. Have a nice day. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you.